In our previous class, we learned about how do we conduct an experiment in laboratory setting, and we learned about independent, dependent variables, experimental and control groups, and how do we control the effect of extraneous variables. And in today's class, we will be studying about field experiments and quasi experiments. What are they? And we will learn about what correlational research is all about. So, in our previous class, we learned about how do we conduct experiments for our research study in a laboratory setting. So there we manipulate the independent variable so that we get a desired outcome. But again, it's not possible for every research to be conducted in a laboratory setting because there are limitations. In a laboratory setting, we don't have many participants. Okay, so it's very limited. So since there is a limited number of participants, so we cannot generalize many researches. Okay, so suppose if you want to study about um, the academic, suppose that there are some kinds of studies like the effect of earthquake on people or their mental health, such kind of researches you cannot conduct an experiment in a laboratory setting to get results, right? So there are many researches which you cannot conduct in a closed space of a laboratory. So in that case, what you have to do is that you have to go in the field, as in you have to go to the natural setting to conduct that particular kind of research. So these researches are known as field experiments. For example, a researcher may want to know which method would lead to better learning among students, lecture or demonstration method. For this, a researcher may prefer to conduct an experiment in the school. The researcher may select two groups of participants, teach one group by demonstration method and another group by the normal teaching method for some time. He or she may compare their performance at the end of learning session. So in such type of experiments, the control over relevant variables is less than what we find in laboratory experiments, and it is also time consuming and expensive. But again, these kind of researches we cannot conduct in a laboratory setting, right? So we cannot ask so many students to come for keep coming for classes again and again to a laboratory setting. So in that case, the researcher has go to the field and conduct his or her experiment. So these kind of researches are known as your field experiments. And then again, many variables cannot be manipulated in the laboratory settings. So in that case also, we have to go into the field and conduct experiments. So for example, if you want to study the effect of an earthquake on children who lost their parents, you cannot create this condition artificially in laboratory. Okay, so in such situations, the researcher adopts the method of quasi. It's a Latin word which means as if. So quasi experimentation, they adopt the method of quasi experimentation. So in such types of experiments, the independent variable is selected rather than varied or manipulated by the experimenter. For example, in the experimental group, we can have children who lost their parents in the earthquake, and in the control group, children who experienced the earthquake but did not lose their parents. So thus a quasi experiment attempts to manipulate an independent variable in a natural setting using naturally occurring groups to form experimental and control groups. Okay, so see, if you remember the laboratory experiment, there we we made that situation happen, right? We not we, sorry, I mean the ones who conducted the research. So they made that happen. They allotted 3 rooms, and then in 2 of the rooms they already asked some people to be seated there, and then in one of the rooms they made sure that nobody was seated from there before, and then they asked one by one students to go to those rooms, so everything was under control. But in these kind of experiments in a natural setting, we cannot really do that, right? So what we do is that we select the naturally occurring uh, variables, okay. Like we use naturally occurring groups to form experimental and control groups. So in this example, in the experimental group, the children who lost their parents in the earthquake were taken under control group, and children who experienced the earthquake but did not lose their parents were taken under the experimental group. So these are naturally occurring group. You didn't make it happen, so it already happened naturally, but you, in your research study, you are taking it as a control group and an experimental group. You are not making it happen like a laboratory experiment, okay. So here we are not choosing the children randomly, but in groups from from their background, like this is what has happened to them. These children have lost their parents and these children didn't lose their parents, so we will keep the ones who lost their parents in control group, and who didn't lose their parents in experimental groups. So this is how we are picking it, okay. We are not randomly doing it. So that's why this particular method is known as your quasi experimentation. Now let us talk about correlational research. So as the name suggests, correlational, here we try to establish the relationship between two variables to determine their relationship and make predictions, okay. Predictions as in hypothesis. So many of the researches that we conduct in the field of psychology are correlational only. The examples of research studies that I have given before, they are also correlational studies only, okay. And here we try to establish the relationship between these two variables, and we make a prediction or a hypothesis. For example, the example is given in your PPT, the relationship between amount of study time and students' academic performance. And suppose we are making a prediction that the more amount of study time, the higher the academic performance is. That is our prediction or hypothesis, okay. So this is what we want to establish. But again, we simply do not determine the relationship between two variables, but what we do is that we see that if these two variables are associated or not, or if they are associated, then they are positively associated or negatively associated. I'll tell you how. Before that, let me tell you one thing. The strength and direction of the relationship between the two variables is represented by a number known as correlation coefficient, okay. Its value can range from +1, which is your positive correlation, through 0.0, which is your zero correlation, and -1.0, which is your negative correlation, okay. So now, for example, if we are making a hypothesis that the more the amount of study time, the higher the academic performance. So if study time increases, then the students academic performance will also increase. So here we have a positive correlationship. Okay, as in if one variable increases, the other variable is also going to increase. So it is a positive correlation. Okay, but then suppose if I study about the relationship between the amount of time invested on PUBG and students' academic performance, then there is a possibility that we will have negative correlation. Okay, because if we are investing more and more time in playing a game, then probably the academic performance of students will decrease. So if the independent variable is increasing, the dependent variable will if the independent variable is increasing, the dependent variable will decrease. Okay, as in the amount of time you are investing on playing PUBG is increasing and your academic performance is decreasing. Okay, so it's like if one increases, the other decreases. If it's like that, it's vice versa. Okay, so if it's like that, then it's a negative correlation. Okay, so we studied about positive correlation and negative correlation. So now the correlation can be zero as well. Zero correlation. How? So for example, if we want to study the relationship between handwriting and students' academic performance, okay, so there is a possibility that there is no relationship between handwriting and students' academic performance. If we make a hypothesis that the better the handwriting is, the higher the marks is, so there's a possibility that that these two variables are not right for each other, not associated, because we know that a person with average handwriting can also score more than someone with a very good handwriting by using our common sense. Although we are not supposed to use our common sense when it comes to psychology, we have to conduct proper experiments, research studies, then only we have to come to some conclusion. But I'm just saying, okay, if you use your common sense also, you will realize that handwriting and a student's academic performance, they are not very much associated with each other. Okay, so in that case the result can be zero correlation. Okay, and you have to remember that the number varies, as in our result can come like correlation of plus 0.85, correlation of minus 95. We can get numbers like that. So if you find a correlation of plus 0.85, it indicates a strong positive association between study time and achievement. So if our result is plus 0.85, which is nearer to plus 1, okay, now use your mathematical skills here. So 0. Plus 0.85 is a close number to plus 1, right? So it means that there is a positive association, positive correlation between study time and achievement. Now if we take the second example, the relationship between the amount of time invested in playing PUBG and students' academic performance. Okay, so in this case we may get a result of negative correlation. Okay, for say we can get a number of minus 0.95. So minus 0.95 is near to the number of minus 1.0, which is your negative correlation. Okay, so here in this example we can say that these two variables have negative correlation. Okay, that is, if one decreases the other one increases and vice versa. Okay, so it's not always necessary that you will get your answers in round numbers of +1, -1 or 0.0. So you will get you can get the numbers in decimals, but you have to check that if it's near to +1 or -1 or 0.0. Now for example, if you get a result of minus 0.02 or plus 0.03, now these figures are nearer to 0.0, which is your zero correlation. Okay, so now here you can establish the fact that these two variables are not associated with each other and they have zero correlation. Okay, like the example that I gave you, that the relationship between handwriting and academic performance. So here you can say, if you get an answer of minus 0.02 or plus 0.03, you can say that there is a zero correlation between these two variables. Okay.